Oh, is it on? Setting up your meeting for a YouTube live. It's gonna talk in a second. Yay, here I am. Well, it sure is showing like a lot. What the heck? Okay. Oh, right. Oh, I'm live. Silly me. Hi, everybody, and welcome back. Hair in the light, hair in the lips. Welcome back to Quaranreads. Quaranreads, your favorite book club on the internet. Today, we are going to talk about Waking Gods. And we will be picking the next book. Let's share to the Facebook because everyone on Facebook needs to know that it's going down here on Quaranreads. Yeah, Quaranreads. I will say, yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I will say that if you guys want to vote, the vote is still up. The books are there to be voted on. We are very excited. Discussion. Oh, girl. Double SION. 4. Okay. So, so we're going to try to finish up talking about Waking Gods. I think this is the third discussion. It might be the second, but we did have the whole like winter break thingy. It's not really winter break. I don't know. Well, we'll call it winter break. So like if you were in school, it'd be winter break. So we had the whole winter break to read it. So if you have not read it, I don't know what to tell you. You can read it on your own time if you want to. But why is this thing taking so long to post? Okay, I assume it did it. And what kind of hair? Okay, so yes, we had a long time to read Waking Gods. So if you did read it, great. Thank you for joining us. And if you didn't read it, go ahead and read it on your own time. It's a pretty good book. It is the sequel to Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel. I think it's how you say his name. Sylvain. And if you've read that one with us, then go ahead and read this one. If you did not read that one, probably want to start with Sleeping Giants because I don't think Waking Gods will make much sense. And like I said, it is a very grim book. If you have not read the first one, you're going to feel even more grim about it. But it's very grim. It's very like there's a lot of death. There's a lot of destruction. There's a lot of like poor humanity, man. But it's a pretty good book. So if you're into like science fiction and you like alien invasion type things, this might be your jam, might be your cup of tea. It kind of reminds me of The Day the Earth Stood Still. And I had to say that really slow because I have a lisp. It's very slight, but if I say the Earth still, you guys will know what I'm talking about. So The Day the Earth Stood Still. Just not like the full movie because there's two separate concepts going on here. Like in that movie or those movies, because there's a newer one that's a remake that I think is Keanu Reeves, and then there's like the original film from like way back in the day. And but the concept there is like these aliens come down. They're like, Earth, y'all got problems. So Earth is like, we don't have problems. And then the aliens are like, we're gonna destroy everything that mankind created and destroy all the mankind. Because mankind is like the problem, is like the alien group's assessment. So that's like the basic idea of The Day the Earth Stood Still. But that is not the basic idea in Waking Gods. Why is it not? Like, the basic idea in Waking Gods is that these aliens have come because they realize like that people on Earth were using their old technology with this like with the robot, the famous robot, and they're like, "What? How? This shouldn't even be possible because it's only like able to work with us, like with the alien species." And so they come down and they're like, "Let's just kill anybody who's a descendant of us." What they didn't anticipate, and I guess I'll just go ahead and talk freely because I think this is our last discussion about this book. What they didn't anticipate was that most of everybody on Earth was a descendant of them at that point. And it's only because, like, so the concept put forward is that if you go back far enough, there's only like a certain amount of humans. Like today, there's like 7 billion, almost 8 billion people on Earth. If you go back far enough, there are what, a few thousand humans in different familial groups roaming the Earth, right? And so what happens is their 12 pilots had, relations with human women or like formed relationships, but had babies and stuff. And then, of course, those babies had babies, maybe sometimes with each other and maybe sometimes with other humans. And then so on and so on and so on. And after a while, those babies that like the original offspring end up being like an ancestor for like every or like nearly every human on Earth or like every human on Earth, just because there's not enough. Like if you take 8 billion people and you go back, you a lot of us are going to have overlapping ancestors because there's not enough ancestors for every familial group, for every family in existence today to have its own unique set of ancestors, right? So that's the idea, is that eventually alien DNA just became like part of our DNA. So like what's interesting about what Sylvain Nouvelle does is he uses like science that is kind of realistic and incorporates it into his sci-fi universe. So when we talk about like genetics like that, I'm sure like a lot of people have heard like, oh, well, Genghis Khan is like related to X amount of men on Earth today, or like X amount of people are related to Charlemagne, I think. So you hear about those like people that are like super ancestors like that, and I don't know if super ancestor is like the right term, but by that I mean like someone who is an ancestor to so many people that they almost like you know are like everyone's ancestor. So that's a real thing that happens. And then also the fact that humanity itself has been traced back to mitochondrial Eve, meaning the first, modern human woman that they can find, who was found in the heart of Africa. Um, Mitochondrial Eve, she's like everyone's mother. But, clearly at the time when mitochondrial Eve was walking around, there were other people or humanoids or humans around. She's just the furthest back link that we can trace with mitochondrial DNA. But like, she's like the mitochondrial DNA that like spawned everyone, right? So, yeah, so it's that type of idea, but wrapped up in these aliens that had come to Earth. And so the aliens are sort of like humanoid. They like, if you were to look at them like how you're looking at me, you would be like, that's a dude, that's a regular person, that's a regular girl. That's a human. The main physical difference in this story, in this like set of books, is that their knees bend the other way. So they're kind of like insect legs almost, like they kind of, and if our knees bend like that, this is weird because it's a finger, but we the extra joint there. But if our knees bend like that, their knees bend like that, right? So yeah. And of course, we remember that the way that our hero squad got around that is our nameless friend took Vincent and flipped his knees while he was in the hospital recovering from his leg crush injury. So that's pretty weird, but that's the type of thing that you get with this book series. Weird stuff. So the aliens that came down in this book, they were looking for the group of humanoids that were related to them. And so they started to send out a gas that was designed to kill anything that had their DNA or like their DNA markers. So it didn't kill animals, didn't kill plants, and it didn't kill every human. But the first time that it happens, we're not like, we as the reader are not privy to why it's not killing everyone. So we see the we follow this BBC reporter and his camera woman, and they're filming the robot, and then they just get a bad feeling and they decide to leave. And so as they start to leave, the robot starts to emit some kind of gas, and people that have crowded around the robot are like dying from it. And they get in this car and they try to drive away, and they're like driving fast, and this isn't still in London because London seems to be like the epicenter of where like most of the stuff started and took place. But so they're driving and they're trying to get away, and the gas starts to come into the car and it kills his camera woman. And so he freaks out. He gets out and runs into a building, runs all the way up to the top. But at this point, he's already inhaled a lot of the gas and it's like done nothing to him. But his camera woman, like her veins have turned black. She's just like disgust. Like it's just like terrible. Like she rotted from the inside out. And like, when we first read that, the assumption that we have is that these people that survived are the descendants of the aliens, and the aliens were sending out the gas to kill humans. So, we get it all twisted, but it's because the reason we get it twisted is because everyone dies except for like a handful of people. So you take a city with millions of people in it, like London. London is a huge city, upwards of 8-9 million people, and maybe 10, I don't know. But London is a huge city, and then you have a couple thousand survive in London. You know what I mean? Out of people that were millions of people were there. And so I think actually like the incident itself, the first incident, I think it wasn't the full London that got the gas. It was just like a section. And I think like only a true handful of people survived, not like thousands, but like a true handful of people. And so, yeah, naturally as a reader, you're like, okay, so those people that survive must be special. Like they must be the unique people. But it gets a little more complicated because then those people like their parents may have died, but they didn't, or their child may have died, but they didn't. So it's like, what was so special about them and their DNA that made them be able to survive? And so we're a little confused on that. But the thing I was thinking, and the thing that the characters in the book were also thinking, was like, yeah, it's got to be that somehow they have the right combination of this alien DNA or something. And so, yeah, we're like, the alien people saved their own people. They saved their homies. And it turns out to be like not that. It turns out to be the other thing, that the aliens were trying to kill people descended from them. Oh, but the problem is, like, almost everyone is descended from them. And the reason that you were getting stuff like the child survived, but the parent didn't, or the parent survived, but the child didn't, is the same reason, like, your mom has green eyes, your dad has brown eyes, and then you have brown eyes. Like, it's just the luck of the DNA draw. It's the same reason why, your grandfather was tall, your grandmother was short, your mom was short, and then on your dad's side, your grandmother was tall, your grandfather was tall, but your dad is short, and then you're tall. You know what I mean? It's that same reason. It's like when two people's DNA comes together to make a baby, you get different aspects um, of their DNA mixed together. So like anything that was dominant, anything that was recessive can come out in that child. And as long as like both parents have that. So like what the idea is, like that two parents came together and they had more of this alien DNA, and so their child got more, or one parent had less of it but had like a recessive gene for it, and then the other. So it's not like said like that in the book, but it's the same kind of concept. And like, yeah. So as the book goes on, like it gets really bleak because this gas thing keeps happening in different places. And it seems like they did it like a couple more times, but then the aliens seemed to like realize it was killing everyone. So they were like, let's pause. We never meet the aliens, so we don't really know what they're thinking. We just know that they're doing this. And unfortunately, our nameless friend gets killed by the gas, but he's in this like panic room thing with Rose because they know that the gas attack is coming, and they're trying to stay away from it, and they're trying to like stay awake and like talk to each other and like keep each other calm. But the gas seeps into this panic room anyway, because the gas seems to be able to seep through. So the only like true barrier you have from it is to be inside of Themis, because it seems like, because it's designed to kill anything with their DNA, the aliens set it to where it can't come into their ships, obviously, because they don't want to kill themselves, because they're selfish. They just want to kill everybody else. But no, they don't want to kill themselves. So they just are like, okay, um, let's go ahead and kill all the people that have our DNA, but we're going to protect ourselves by staying in the ship. So the ship like acts as like a barrier. So whatever material their alien robot ship things are made out of, it protects them from whatever gas comes out. It's just really bleak, okay? It's just a really bleak book. So our nameless friend dies. Like he's dead. He's dead. And the only thing that can happen, I don't know how I'm trying to say this. So anyway, he dies, and he basically like leaves his like job to Rose. We do find out more about him. We do not learn his name. We kind of learn how he got into the position that he's in. We learn that he doesn't work for anyone. He just makes it his business to know everything. We learn why that is. Yeah, so we get a bit of an origin story on him. He's really cool. It's like a really cool like science fiction-y thing. I like it. Cause like I don't know that that could happen in real life. Some dude just being able to infiltrate all these top secret things and just people believing him. But we do learn like why that is. It's like something about him having done like a mission for somebody and then like learning how to do all this stuff on his own, and then so whatever. But we do learn like that background about him. We also learn like why we don't know his name. It has to do with his son's death and all of that. So like after his son died, he like faked his death so that he could get revenge on the person who caused his son's death. And now he's like a nameless government agent guy. Anyway, I'm just chit chatting away. I'm gonna share what? Okay, I'm gonna share the group thingy. Yes. I'm gonna share this invitation. Um Go back to the book, the faces. Okay, here it is. So the one thing that I will say is I hope that you guys continue to come and join me in this book club because I like doing it and it's fun. But I do want people to have fun with me. Um, Let me know if you like what we're doing or if you want it to change in some way or if you have an idea for anything. Um, but yes, and let me know if you guys want to do it a different way whatever, but I would love for people to be in the club with us because at this point I do like you guys just don't come chat with us. You guys just don't come. So I'm posting the invite link so that you guys can come join us on the Book of Faces. And yeah, and I see that we are um, at a standstill with the with the vote. So if you guys want to go drop your votes, check it out. There's votes to be had. And yeah, do that. My dad's calling me. One second. Hey daddy. Yes. Um well, okay. Eat the one that's like on the top. The one that's in the like the silver container. And you can have those wonton things too. Sure, have that. Okay. Sure. Bye. That's my dad. He's the man. Okay, I'm letting Mel in. Um, Hello. Yes.
Hey.
Oh,
Yay.
good. All right. So we are here. What did I do?
Yeah.
Okay. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Just, keeping it together.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's talk about the ending of Waking Gods.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it looks bad. Looks like they're not gonna it legitimately, even though there's more books, it legitimately looks like they're not going to make it.
I know
I was like,
it's very grim. It doesn't have that hopeful feeling.
yeah. And you think maybe they'll bring some people back? They'll bring Idokara or the nameless guy back? They don't. Maybe in the next book. For
Yeah,
sure not in this book.
there's no way to tell at this point because I was thinking like the thing that they did for Rose when they brought her back, like you would think maybe they had thought to do that for some other characters, but
Yeah.
especially like the nameless guy because he seemed like such like a huge integral part to this whole thing. And just no clue.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see that happening either. So,
Yeah. It's very interesting. It's like an interesting choice as a writer because um usually when somebody is like the major character, like the main or like one of the main characters, you don't kill them halfway through the second book and then just leave them dead. But I mean, I guess like there are books that do that. It's just a very interesting choice, especially because like the whole like format of the books seems to be like the nameless guy's notes or something. So it's like he's
yeah.
like taking interviews with all these characters and stuff. But
And I guess now they're just Rose's notes.
yeah,
So it'll just be her with everybody.
yeah, which
But
is crazy. I mean, it's not crazy, but it's like, yeah, it's like weird to just kind of switch the point of view. But I'm
yeah.
not like opposed to it, but it is like it's like shocking. The book itself is just such a bleak book.
Yeah, it's so intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really intense. They have a 10-year-old girl doing all those things, which I'm like, that's why
Yeah,
I would never ask it. I would never think a 10-year-old would be able to do
she
any of
seems
this
so
stuff.
advanced too. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like when I first read her, like when we first met her, like I was imagining her as like a teenager because she felt
Yeah.
so advanced to me. But then they were like, "Oh, she's 10." I was like, "Oh, okay."
All right. Yeah, she's a very advanced 10-year-old.
Yeah. Um, which her little ability is also cool, and I guess like that gives her like a sort of insight that most 10-year-olds wouldn't have because she's able to like have these future visions and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And there aren't any, because of like the nature of how the book is, there aren't any scenes of her just like chilling. Like
Yeah,
it's always, like notes from her therapist or like her in the middle of very like intense conflicts and stuff like that. So like maybe like in theory her character could be more just a regular 10-year-old when these things aren't happening.
right, yeah.
So, but yeah, she was a very intense 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Uh,
Poor kid.
well,
Poor
all right.
kid. She is going through like things that most people wouldn't know how to deal with. So I you can't really blame her.
Oh no, for
Yeah.
sure.
I
Just
mean,
like,
and also like her parents are dead. Like the parents that raised her. And so like and they were like killed in a violent way. And it's implied that they were killed in like an attempt to like someone's attempt to like kidnap her. So like she is just having to like go through all these traumatic incidents and just kind of deal with it. Like I
oh
don't
yeah,
know how to
for
second the
sure.
process.
Yeah, but she's really bouncing back well though. She was just like, I want to save humanity. And I was like, whoa, that's
Yeah, it's like she doesn't even have a second thought about it. I think also
yeah.
though, like she felt kind of like that was her purpose because like Alyssa made it sound like that was her purpose. Like, oh wait,
Yeah.
I made you so that
Yeah.
you can do this great thing. Poor thing.
Yeah.
She's the avatar. But yeah, she like the one interesting thing is that like because she has all these visions, like we kind of get like a different kind of insight into like the things that are happening in the world of like whatever's going on with the aliens. Because it's like here she is and she's like talking about these like gruesome death incidents and like also before they happen. So we are kind of like getting this second eye to the stuff that's happening. And I also do still wonder like if the characters that have special abilities because they are so related to the aliens, um, if there's some kind of like underlying thing to that because what's the point of bringing it up? because like the only first of all, the only one that we meet is Ava. Like she's the only only person that we meet that has some kind of like special ability because of being related to the aliens.
Mm-hmm.
But the other guy, Mr. Burns, suggested that there are other people that have that. So I'm wondering if like in the next book it's not going to be that they meet the aliens finally and then like something is revealed about that type of ability or that connection.
Mm, yeah, yeah. That would make sense. And maybe if we meet someone else who can like who also has that ability, who's like older or something, who can like mentor her a little bit
Yeah,
too.
I just it's very interesting, like this alien race. I it's hard for me to understand like what their deal is at this point. And I'm sure like once we get to this to the third book, which I don't know if I'm gonna get to the third book right now because I'm just kind of like exhausted from this book. But
Yeah, this was a lot.
I wonder that if in the third book we start to get more insight into the aliens. Like the third book is called Only Human, and that makes me think that it's mostly about Rose because it seems like everyone else was part alien and then Rose was only human, and that's part of why she was able to
Yeah.
save everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't understand like what their deal is, other than like the fact that maybe they thought that they messed up. Like I do get the idea like maybe they thought that 6,000 years ago or whenever it was, they brought their alien ships down, and then those pilots inter intermingled with the humans, and I like maybe they felt like that was some kind of interference, and they kind of like messed up the natural progression of human life. I get that, but I also like don't understand why they would just come gung ho and just be like exterminate. And I would love to get some insight into like what that is and like what they were doing.
Yeah, and why they took out so much of London, because it felt more like the explanation was kind of a oops, I did a genocide kind of
Yeah,
situation. But like the
but they
guy
had done it
still
twice
took
at that point.
out the lot of London for no reason at the bit, not no reason. I mean, they attacked him,
Yeah,
but like, so they weren't trying to. They were killing everyone. They weren't trying to do it that time.
yeah,
Very
like yeah,
yeah,
I'm not sure what that's about.
yeah, yeah. It's confusing.
Like, the first time they definitely just murdered people. It wasn't like, oh, we're just trying to exterminate. But it does beg the question like what is special about London? Did they land there accidentally? Did they pick London for a specific reason? Like Mr. Burns obviously has a connection to the original family tree, meaning like somehow he knows
Yeah,
all about this stuff. And um it makes me wonder, is there like some kind of like secret headquarters for them in London or like some kind of like base of operations or something?
yeah. I don't know because Mr. Burns is in DC the whole
Yeah,
time,
he's
but
all
also he's not the best example because it sounds like no one really likes him.
that's true. He is
So
kind of like contrary. I don't know.
yeah, he's kind of doing his own thing.
But that would be interesting. But you know, I one of it just kind of frustrates me when books I understand it's a trilogy, but it does frustrate me when so many mysteries are left open.
Hmm.
I kind of just feel like what is happening? So I do wish that this book had like some more explanation into like what actually was going on. Um, I don't know if that means that we should have had stuff from the aliens perspective, but also I understand that like the book is not written like as a novel. It's kind of written in the style of like records and newspaper articles and radio broadcasts and
Yeah.
interviews and stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's like you're kind of learning along with like literally everyone on Earth
yeah,
what's going on, and they don't know either. So that's like it makes sense. There's a lot of mysteries, but
yeah,
also it is kind of frustrating because it's like, why did they do that part? I mean, other than the fact they got attacked.
yeah.
Mm.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
But it does also beg the question, like, because the first fight, the first battle, they are just kind of fighting, and it doesn't seem there doesn't seem to be like a true goal at that point. So I can't help but wonder if like they weren't trying to get rid of the people descended from aliens because they didn't want the humans to be able to use the robot. And if that's the case, like, did they have other plans for Earth after that? Like, what was the plan? Just murder
Yeah.
everyone. I don't know. It just, and like, you can't necessarily say, well, they had good intentions or they had bad intentions at this point because we just really don't know anything about them. And the stories that we did get from Mr. Burns, like I said, he's not very clear. He just kind of tells fables and lets you kind of figure it out. Um, so it's not 100% clear. Like we know like the story where there was like an emperor and his daughter fell in love with a warrior and then he was going to execute him or something. So they skipped the planet and went too far off planets, and that's basically the story of how they ended up colonizing here or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what we don't know is like how much of that is true, one, and then two, what version of that truth explains what they were doing here in the first place.
Hmm.
And then three, why everyone thought they were gods back then. And specifically the Greco-Roman gods. Because that's what like he seems to be playing with, the idea that the gods, the Titans, were these alien robot things, and then I guess maybe the Olympians were the pilots, and then maybe I guess their offspring were the demigods.
Hmm.
That seems to be the concept that he's playing with. Um, and if that's the case, like the Greek pantheon is like really messy. Like it's not, it's not um like I guess like the way that Western people probably do to Christianity think about gods as we think about like this like benevolent, um all-knowing, loving being that created us all and like put us here for a reason. But the Greco-Roman gods, specifically the Greek gods, because the Roman pantheon is like a hodgepodge of everybody else's gods, really. So that's
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
people say it's Greco-Roman, because it's mostly
Mhm.
just that they put everybody's gods in their thing. But
Mhm.
the Greek pantheon is like those gods are like nuts. Like they're just crazy, and like the stories are messy, and like that does beg the question, like, what were they doing here if those stories are meant to be based on them? And like in the books, they obviously don't really explore the Greek mythology aspect because it's kind of like background noise to the story. Like it's like if you're writing a story, that's just like a deep, deep, deep layer that you don't necessarily need to tell your part of the story. So he's telling like the science part, the war part, the like the reaction part, and then like the interpersonal relationships between the main characters that we know, like the main 4 or 5 characters. Um, so he doesn't need to tell that part, but that's the stuff he's playing with. And if we're asking like the question of what do these alien beings actually want, like to me the question comes up, like if they're the representation of what these early humans thought were these gods, and what we are calling the Greek and Roman gods now, then these gods were nuts. And so what were the aliens doing here? Like, what were they doing here? um
Yeah. What did they do all that stuff? Did people just like
yeah,
make up fake stories?
yeah.
Yeah.
um
And there's that one like legend or something that Mr. Byrne tells in the first book that's like a little messy about them. And the one dude who like tries to overthrow the other alien king and stuff
yeah,
happens. So like maybe the aliens are just like crazy.
yeah.
Who knows?
It's very interesting. I'm pretty sure in Being Human, or Only Human, I guess. Being Human's a TV show, I think. But it's a
Okay.
TV show, I think, about like some ghosts and like a vampire, and they are like living together and pretending to be human. I don't know. It's
Okay.
not very good. I think it was on Sci-Fi Network. I didn't really watch it, but I remember remember it. Um,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, I'm pretty sure in Only Human he probably answers a lot of those questions. But we're not getting there because I think we need a break. Yeah, we need a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
It ends with them all kind of getting stuck in Themis, and Themis like transporting them into space. And so like I think that it's trying to say that the aliens are finally just like bump that, beam them up. But man, I don't know what that means for them. But the aliens are relatively humanoid, so I'm gonna assume the living conditions are similar. So like maybe they'll be able to breathe and stuff whenever they get wherever the aliens are taking them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. It just reminds me of like so many science fiction things I've read or
Hmm.
watched in movies, and I'm just like, it's not good. It's not good when something beams you into space.
Yeah. Never. It's never for fun reasons.
No. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that means, but I guess we won't find out. We'll be reading a new book.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what our new book is. Let me check.
Last time I looked, it was a tie.
Uh-oh. I hope it's not a tie. It is a tie. Okay, the Left-Handed Booksellers of London and Pachinko. 3 and 3. Hmm. What to do?
Hmm.
Should we just tiebreaker it, or should we? Let's just tiebreaker it. Okay. Hmm. Let's look at the things again.
Yeah, we could like rock, paper, scissors it or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, let's try that.
Okay.
um, which book would you like to represent?
I don't care. I'll do left-handed booksellers.
Okay, I'll do Pachinko.
Okay. I think we both voted that
Best two
anyway.
out of three.
Okay. All right.
Rock,
Rock,
paper,
paper,
scissors.
scissors, shoot.
Say
No. Okay.
okay.
Huh.
Rock, paper,
Paper,
scissors.
scissors, shoot. Oh,
Okay, I cover you.
okay.
Um, rock,
Rock,
paper,
paper,
scissors.
scissors, shoot.
Oh no,
Oh,
same.
one more. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. No.
That's me. Okay, so now this is the tiebreaker.
We need tiebreaker. Okay. Rock,
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
No.
Okay, one more. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Shoot.
Let me see. I win.
Oh.
Pachinko it is.
Hey.
Okay, so the next book is Pachinko. And I guess we will read it this week, and then sometime next week we'll talk about it on Sunday at 6. Well, 3 for you.
Woohoo.
So Pachinko, I think, is the one about the young woman who is Korean and she goes to Japan and all this stuff. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like a coming of age kind of book. So.
Okay. National Book Award finalist, so that's a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. That'll be fun. So I guess we can sign off here, and I guess we'll get the book, and we'll talk about it next week. And yeah, thank you guys for watching us. Thank you for joining us. All that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All
Okay,
right. I'll see you next time.
bye.
Bye. Good day.
Yeah, have a good one.
Bye bye. Bye bye, everybody. Same bad time, same bad channel. We'll be here to talk about Pachinko. It is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. It's a very interesting book. I can't wait to read it. All right. See you guys. Bye bye.